Hi, everyone. Welcome to Curated by Becta's Big Night In number 16. I am so excited about today's menu. Why don't we go ahead and get started? It's some of my favorite ingredients, and it's summertime. So we've got lobster, we've got some ribeye, we've got some beautiful peach dessert. I am pumped. So I even, wore a different shirt for the occasion because it's Big Night In. So we need to like dress it up a little bit. First thing we do, 450-degree oven or 425 with convection oven like me. Put your potato pave on a sheet tray with a little parchment paper and drop it in. Hey Google, set a timer for 18 minutes.
All right, 18 minutes, starting now.
Now, I'm going to try to time everything so that this is not a crazy long video, but we'll see. We may have to cut out a little bit in the middle. So I've got a cast iron pan. If you don't have one of these yet, go and buy one, please, because they are like the greatest and most inexpensive things that you can buy to add to your culinary collection. To sear the steak, we want to get it medium hot and 1 tablespoon of neutral oil per person. In my case, grapeseed oil, but you can choose canola oil or vegetable oil. And you want to get that nice and hot. And we are going to season the steak. Now, the steak has already been cooked to just below rare, like blue rare, sous vide. And this is Beverly Creek Farms that we have an amazing relationship with. And they raise some amazing cattle and lamb for that matter. So you want to be generous with the salt and pepper. Take it out of the sous vide bag and pat it off. So it's already shrunk a little bit, even though this is a pretty big looking steak. I think our sous chef likes to, give me a little bit extra because she knows, it's on her paycheck. Anyway, so it's a big steak. So it should be 500 grams for 2 people. Now, if you've ordered for 3 or for 1, it may be different. For 3 people, we may do an extra large thick steak. So ribeye, it's best when you sear it when it's thick. So I know the pan is hot. Let's get it in there. So don't forget to pat it dry before you do this with a paper towel, which I did just before the instructions. Now, we are going to do 3 minutes per side. Then we're going to drain the oil. So make sure that you get a stainless steel bowl or something that can handle the heat, and maybe a little trivet if you're worried about your countertops, like my wife is from time to time. And then we're going to butter bathe it and then throw it in the oven for a little bit and then make sure to rest it. That's the most important part of all of this. So while the steak is searing, we can start on the appetizer. So we've got a Nova Scotia lobster tartine. So this beautiful fresh brioche bread that the chef cooked today, melted in the microwave a little unsalted butter. And you want to just brush it on nicely. And I've got my largest nonstick pan because the brioche is pretty big. This is basically like a fine dining lobster roll. Okay, so and today is not for the weak of heart when it comes to butter quantities. We have a decent amount of butter. So just get ready and hopefully you guys all have enough unsalted butter for it. Now I should probably turn this up a tad. I thought I would be using the steak surface because I always prefer using the gas to the induction oven, but that's okay. Let's see how our steak's doing. We want to get a nice crust on each side and then drop it in the oven. If you got a hood fan, maybe turn it on. And now we get to slather some butter on the back side. Probably should have melted some more. The brioche seems to really soak it up. So that's going to be just fine. Get it all on there and toast this up. Again, it is like a fine dining lobster roll. Have I ever told you guys how much I appreciate you watching our videos? Thank you for doing that. It makes me really happy. Oh, that is one gorgeous looking ribeye. We've trimmed it down for you, and I'm going to show you how to slice it beautifully. Again, we're sending you a steak for 2, so it's a big steak, and we're going to cut it down. So 500 grams or half a kilo for 2 people. All right, what do we do next? Let's get ready for our lobster stuff. The Lobster Tartine has so we've already cooked and deshelled the lobster for you, and we've tossed it around with a little Granny Smith apple and some of the tarragon aioli and some beautiful herbs in there. And once the tartine comes out, golden brown, about a minute on each side, yeah, that's looking pretty good. Then we're going to pat things down and serve it up, and it's going to be great. Let me talk to you about the wine. So, if you watched the video I recorded yesterday and ordered our regular meal kit number 112, you knew that Connor was on vacation. And so I got to choose the wines for this week, which is super fun, both for the regular meal kit and for the big night in, which is great. So, by the way, we're going to take this and we're going to drain off the oil. There's not much there. And then we're going to throw in 1 tablespoon of butter per person and melt it down. Get a nice basting spoon ready, because as soon as that's melted, I'm going to turn that guy off. As soon as the butter melts, you're going to do like the greatest thing you can do a steak, other than resting it, which is like actually the greatest thing you can do. When the butter melts, it caramelizes, and you want to baste this on each side for about a minute. I might shorten that down a little bit just for the video. Let's get all of that good caramelized butter in there. And that gives it a beautiful crust and a sweetness and a nuttiness. And you don't have to just do this with curated meals. You can do this anytime with any steak that you have at home. Hopefully, these are some of the tips and tricks that will keep you coming back for watching our videos and ordering our meal kits. Yeah, once the butter gets all frothy and stuff, you know it is fabulous. And you know what? Save the stuff in the pan because you can use it some more. Actually, I'm going to show you a little trick, because it also calls for butter in the demi-glaze, the bordelaise sauce. So we can use the fond, which is the really great butter from basting this, instead of just regular butter that goes into the bordelaise sauce. The chef may call it heresy because it'll put little speckles in it from the beef, but man, the flavor is going to be great. So I'm going to break the rules a little bit and just don't tell Chef Rich. Hopefully he's not watching this video, because he is also on vacation this week, which is great. People have to get a little time off this summer. Okay, and now we're going to put it in the oven for 4 to 5 minutes to get to medium rare. Hey Google, set a timer for 4 minutes. And now I'm going to put the demi-glaze on, or the bordelaise sauce. Give it a stir, and it is basically going to go to high heat. It'll boil, and then you turn it way down to low, and then throw the butter in. And by that time, oh, look at that. That's some really nice tartine. And what we're going to do, I'm going to turn this guy off to save washing some more pans. This was just butter in here with a little bit of bread. So clean that up. And that is going to be for our veg. I'm going to turn this on back on a lower setting for our veg for our main course. So 1 tablespoon of grapeseed oil, or canola oil, or vegetable oil in your case. And that is going to be what the veg is cooked in while that is warming up. So I want to have some of this lovelock. As I said before, I got the chance to actually buy the wine myself this time. I used to be a sommelier many years ago and do some great wine buying, and it was fun. And so anyway, it was great. 2 of my favorite wines, Lovelock from Marlborough, New Zealand. It is just, it's decadent, rich, but also lots of fresh acidity because of the cooler climate that New Zealand is. Tropical fruits, aromatic flowers, and just really bright, crisp acidity on the finish. And the red wine we're going to talk about in a second. But first, I got to put together these lobster tartines. So we buttered the brioche and toasted it up. So we're going to spread the tarragon mayo on the toast, which is why I got the spoon. Now, there's already some again in your lobster salad, but the rest goes right there on the toast. And this is, I believe, going to be better than any lobster roll you might have had. The only thing is we can't recreate the Nova Scotia or the Maine scenery. There's no oceans around here, but hopefully the flavors will bring you back there. My family and I used to vacation on the coast of Maine for 2 or 3 years running, and it was a special place. And the lobster rolls were fabulous. Okay, so tarragon mayo, then the lobster salad, and then we're going to garnish it up with all of the different garnishes. Oh man, that flavor is just so good. I have some wine. See it put together. Let's see which one is going to be our Instagram shot. Probably this one. Like the toast on it is just fabulous. And maybe a little extra for me because my wife is not here tonight. Just my son and I. So for the first time in a long time, we don't have to split the meal 3 ways. And I weigh a lot more than my son does, so maybe I get a little extra on the lobster stuff. Okay, that's good. So next up, pickled celery. You can just sort of spread this out. Got a lot of different flavors for you. Hey Google, off. Hey Google, how long for the timer?
There's 6 minutes and 19 seconds left.
That's for the potato pave. So our steak is done. Hey Google, set a timer for 8 minutes.
Setting the timer for 8 minutes.
I might cut that a little bit short, depending on how the video goes. So this is where the butter is and the fond is going to go in. I'm going to be decadent and just toss the whole thing in there. And that saves me for some butter in here. And it's just got this great beefy flavor, so why would you waste it? So it's going to go on low heat now. Just give it a little stir. Okay, now this guy is getting warm. So the mushrooms are going in. And 5 minutes for our cremini mushrooms before we add the kale and the pickled onions. All right, let's get back to our appetizer. Capers going on next. My son loves the capers. So make sure we get him a good amount. And make sure you put some on the outside so that you can see it. Then we've got the preserved lemon. Maybe he doesn't like the preserved lemon as much, so he'll get a smaller amount. I can turn my hood fan off at this point. That is for him. Did I miss anything? Nope, we're all set. So there is our Nova Scotia Lobster Tartine, done with pickled celery, the capers, Granny Smith apple, tarragon aioli, and preserved lemon. Can't wait to jump into there. Okay, main course. Turn this up a little bit. Cremini's going on. This is on low. It's actually probably still a little hot, so I'm going to just put it off to the side. We don't need this guy anymore. All right, so our dessert. So sorry we did a little switch on you. Originally, we were going to do a pecan crumble with dessert, but instead we went with the hazelnut crumble, which is even better. So our peach tart, local Ontario peaches, got our whipped cream and our hazelnut crumble. Get rid of this. We need one more spoon. Mix up our mushrooms. The oil seems to be gone, so I'm going to add just a touch more. Keep it moist. So peach tart down, and then the whipped cream, and then the pecan crumble. If you guys have watched our video before, I only take home one dessert because I'm recording 2 meal kit videos this week. Our family doesn't need the extra. All right. And make sure to give it a nice little break-up crumble with it. Because sometimes it can, congeal is the wrong word, but sort of clump together. Get it all in there. Mushrooms looking good. Before I present this, I'm going to throw the kale in. Actually, first the unsalted butter, 1 tablespoon per person. That will melt down while I'm presenting. And then we'll throw the kale and the onions in. So our lovely Ontario peach tart with the hazelnut crumble and whipped cream. All right. Butter is melted. Kale goes in. They sent me home with a little too much kale. That's okay. We like the kale. And then the pickled onions. And don't be afraid of the juice that's within the pickled onions as well. And I think I've mentioned this many times before, but in case you're new to this, we do these meal kit videos not only to show you how to do it, but also to adjust quantities of things. So I think we need more onions. And we can give that a stir. And less kale because they didn't send me home with a lot of kale. The pave will come out. The beef is resting. Don't need that extra butter pat because I used the stuff from the fond, which I'm going to make sure to add fond to instructions. And then we're going to slice up the ribeye. Before we do, let me tell you about the red wine for those of you who order the wine pairing, which you should always do because our markups are just so tiny. Like it's only a couple bucks extra to have these beautiful wines that are paired to the meal. This is a Yanare Aglianico from southern Italy, and it's glorious. Full-bodied, peppery, a little bit of dried fruit, fresh acidity, like cassis on the finish. I really like it. I'm a big fan. Again, I got to choose them this week, which was really fun. So, hey Google, off. Perfect timing. Hey, we did well with this. Let me put a trivet out to be able to take our pavés out of the oven. This stuff takes a couple hours to make, but the presentation is beautiful and it really helps with this special big night in dinner. Give the Bordelaise sauce a little spin. I'm going to turn this guy off because that's almost done. Then let's get the steak. So I used to work at a restaurant called 11 Madison Park in New York City, which has been named best restaurant in the world, but not while I was there, a little bit after that. But still a wonderful restaurant, and I used to carve ribeyes at the table, and it was fun. So I'm going to show you how I did it, but you can do it any way you like. The chef kind of likes it just sliced up like this. You want to slice it for sure, but there is a decal, which is kind of like the L-shaped corner of it. And my son loves the decal. It tends to cook a little bit faster, so it's a little bit more well done than the rest of the stuff. And then you've got this beautiful in-between rectangle, and that is where you slice. Looking good. And then with this, you can slice, slice, and slice. So you got the decal. Again, it will always cook a little bit faster. So this is probably a little more medium. And I'm going to adjust the timing as well, because this is more medium than medium rare. So I might take, a couple minutes off in the oven. Hey, Google, off. Okay, so let's plate this puppy up. Pave, one side. You can use your knife to do it. And we can get rid of that. Plate your veggies to side. And try to make sure that you can see everything. In this case, I'm going to make the pickled onions on the outside. There we go. Son's going to get more kale than he knows what to do with, and that's all right. Bordelaise, let's turn that off. Give it a little spin. Don't forget, so we can fan out the meat, and the end piece you can turn over. In this case, it probably actually looks better if it's done like that. So if you fan it out, make sure you slice it all the way through, that I did not, so that you can see some of the pink. And that way, when you do some seasoning on it, it goes all the way through. So I'm going to turn the one so that it has a little more pink on it. And for Shannon, he gets the decal, lucky bugger, because that's where all the flavor is. That's the most flavorful cut. Okay, so we've seasoned it. And what the chef likes to do for, beautiful plates, you can choose to pour it on top or you can choose to pour it on the side. But in his world, you pour it on the side. So that's what I'm going to do for the photos. And the Bordelaise is broken a little bit because I put some of the butter with the fond in there, but I know it's going to taste fabulous. It may not look quite as pristine as he likes, but wow, yeah, I know it's going to taste good. Keep a little extra to see who needs more. But there is our gorgeous Beverly Creek ribeye done with the potato pave, the pickled onions, cremini mushrooms, kale, and Bordelaise sauce paired up with that awesome Alianico. I wish you an amazing big night in. Thanks for ordering, and I really hope we get to cook and curate for you again really soon.